the concept of a 15% bonus, which I know, like, to us now, like, being in banking, like, seems like nothing. As my engineering bonus, the first company that I worked for out of undergrad, my bonus was one single paycheck. So, like, the concept of, like, a 15% just 3 years out of undergrad, that's crazy to me.
Yeah.
Welcome back to episode 5 of the Rome's Room podcast. I am your host, Jerome, and welcome to my room. Today, we have got a co-host here who is a good friend of mine, originally from Jacksonville, Florida, a killer on the dating apps because he's 6'5", and another MBA and investment banking survivor. Everyone welcome Romeo Waldo to the show. This is a little crazy because, you know, like, I'm Jerome, you're Romeo. It's like Jeromeo and Romeo.
Yeah.
In Rome's Room.
I like our names. Yeah.
I know. We could, like, own this town if we wanted to.
Yeah.
Also, quick reminder, you can catch the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. If you go on YouTube, it's youtube.com/Jerome Vaz. Make sure you subscribe. So let's get right into it. So be serious right now. How much can you bench press?
I don't do much flat bench with the bar. It's very painful for my shoulders. What I do is incline press with dumbbells, and I'll usually go up to about 100 pounds.
Oh, dude, you're jacked. Come on. You can't be just doing 100 pounds on the bench.
No, but I do more high reps. I don't go for 2-3 reps. I try to get to 8 to 10 reps range.
Yeah.
And I also do this thing where if I'm working out and I'm trying to get a good pump in, I'm more of like the bodybuilder style of working out. I usually pre-exhaust the muscle. That's like a tip, a nice little
What
tip
does that
trick.
mean, pre-exhaust?
So the premise behind that is if I'm doing chest, for example, before the workout even starts, I go on chest flies.
Okay.
Do like 4 sets of something where like your chest is burning by the 10th rep.
Yeah.
But not like super heavy. So you're kind of like exhausting the muscle before you work it out.
Oh, I've heard that. I kind of did almost the reverse back in the day. Back in the day when I used to be fit. I'll throw the picture up because, shout out me.
Okay.
I used to do like the superset at the very, very end, where I'm like going until I physically cannot do it anymore. And it's like my muscle fibers are physically tearing apart. That's what I've always heard. You want your muscle fibers to tear so they can rebuild and they rebuild stronger or something.
You want to go to exhaustion, yeah. But this is called you pre-exhaust the muscle. That's the premise. So you tire them out before you even work them out.
Interesting.
And if you're like new to working out, I don't think you have to do all that.
Yeah.
Like this is a little bit more if you're like, trying to find new ways to stimulate the muscle because your muscle does get used to. If you're doing the same thing week after week, your muscle gets used to it. You start seeing less results.
Right.
So this is one way to do something different where you change it up. Yeah.
Okay.
So pre-exhaust, and then I'll go into my workout. But yeah, I don't do I'm not a big. I don't lift heavy.
You're a power lifter.
No, I don't squat a lot. I don't bench a lot.
Well, you look great.
Thanks, appreciate it. You look great too.
Thanks. I have done nothing. I made one singular video in the last year that I've lived in Richmond where I made a video where I went to the gym every day for 30 days and just like the body transformation. Full disclosure for everyone watching right now, if you watch that video, I did not go to the gym every day for 30 days. I tried, dude. I tried hard. But there were so many days that work, I would just get caught up with work or whatever and I'd skip it. And I just edited the video in such a way that it made it look that way,
Yeah.
And it still worked out. I probably was, out of the 30 days, I would say I legitimately went probably 20 of them.
That's still good.
Which is still pretty good. And the body transformation was real. It was real. I just exaggerated it a little bit for the purpose of the video.
I think it's fair. One video you had a beard, next one you didn't.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it's in the photo that I took of my regular body before the thing, I'm not flexing at all. I'm just standing, making myself look bad.
You had a gallon of milk.
And then
beforehand.
right. And then on the after the 30 days photo,
yeah.
I'm flexing as hard as I can, and add a little shading to the photo to make the abs look more cut and stuff.
Right.
You gotta do it.
There's always tricks. I know bodybuilders before the competition, the couple weeks before, they'll drink a ton of water.
Oh, so then you get the cut?
Yeah. So you drink a ton of water, your body gets used to having a lot of water, so like your body adapts, and it just flushes out water.
Yeah.
And the week of, supposedly, like you just stop drinking
No water at
or
all,
just
yeah.
very little water, but your body's still flushing because your body takes like a week to adapt.
Mm.
So that's how. I mean, there's a lot of things they do to make themselves like look insane, and they take water pills to get out the rest of the water.
Oh, interesting. I've heard like fighters do something similar, like
Fighters
or
cut a lot of
almost the
weight.
opposite.
Yeah.
They like cut a bunch of weight by not drinking water. Then they make weight like 2 days before the fight or whatever during their weigh-in.
Usually the day before, yeah.
Day before weigh-in,
Yeah.
they'll be super low. Then they drink a fuck ton of water.
Yeah, to rehydrate.
To rehydrate and like give the muscles extra strength and like weight and all that stuff, whatever.
Yeah, like I'm a big UFC fan, and I know almost every UFC fighter cuts weight, but a lot of them they'll be 20 pounds heavier
Yeah.
the night of the fight versus like the weigh-in the day before or
That's
2 days before.
crazy.
20 pounds. I mean,
That's crazy.
They're in the sauna. They're like sweating out everything.
Wow.
So I mean, like your body can change real quick within a few days. Just ways to do it. Yeah.
Well, okay, I've got another question for you. Growing up with a last name like Waldo, was it difficult for people to find you?
That's a great question. No, because I'm pretty tall, so I stood out.
So where's Waldo joke?
Yeah. I get that
Did you
a
get
lot.
that?
Yeah.
Did you get that one?
My first name's Romeo too, so I get a lot of that.
Yeah,
So,
have you
yeah,
found your
it's normal.
Juliet yet?
No,
Damn. Hey.
haven't found it.
He's not taken, ladies.
Right.
There are no ladies watching this, by the way, just so you know.
Yes.
I've looked at my YouTube demographics. It's like 85% men. And I'm fairly certain the other 15% are like my mom and her friends.
Okay. Well,
So,
the women are missing out. So
Yeah. Hey, listen.
this guy, handsome guy like you.
Anyway, let's get into the actual show. So
Let's get into it.
the premise of the show, if you haven't seen it, which no one has seen it because none of the episodes have come out yet at the time of recording, is essentially I want to talk about kind of how you grew up into what you want to do. Basically, the transition from a child to becoming a young adult. Because I feel like those young adult ages, those late high school, early college days, there's no like handbook. No one tells you what to do. You think as a young kid that like everyone knows what's going on, everyone's got it together, everyone knows what they want to study in college. And it's just not true. No one knows what the hell is going on, ever. So it's kind of just to explore some of that. So my first question to you is, you, to my understanding, you are from Jacksonville, Florida, initially. Were you born there?
I was actually an immigrant, so I'm a first-generation immigrant. I was not born in Jacksonville.
Okay.
I was born in Uzbekistan, Tashkent, Uzbekistan.
Whoa, okay.
So yeah, my family moved to the States when I was around 6 years old. It was 1996, that
dude.
time frame.
Same as me. Well, I was born in 96, but same in the sense of I was 6 years old when I moved here too.
Oh, cool. Okay. Yeah. So I didn't even speak English until I started kindergarten here in the States, and
Interesting.
I just picked it up.
So did you ever have to go to like those like ESL classes and stuff?
No, you know what's funny? My dad's like, he's just a dad. He's the typical like, just put him in the regular classes with the regular kids. He'll figure it out.
That's crazy.
There was no like babying. There was no like take special classes.
Really?
So I was just a normal, like I remember the first, I don't know, like month or two, I was just sitting there, but like I couldn't communicate.
Right.
So it was very, it was a very interesting process to go through where I'm just like learning the language as I go through school.
Dude, the hardest part about it is like making friends. Because you can't talk to anyone. Like when I moved here, I knew 2 words. I knew hello and I knew McDonald's. And that was it. And at my school, it was like, we just happened to have a ton of immigrants. Like I lived in a city or like a town really, where we had a lot of Japanese immigrants. And so everyone was required to go to this like ESL, English as a Second Language class.
Okay.
And so during like English class at regular school, we would get put on a bus, we'd get sent to like the local college, and they would like teach us English. And I remember like my parents put me in like a Japanese school. I moved here from Japan. So my parents put me in like a Japanese school to make friends because we spoke Japanese fluently. And I made one best friend in elementary school, I remember. His name was Tyler. Shout out Tyler. He would, because I didn't know English, I couldn't do anything, but I was good at math because numbers are numbers, you know? Mm-hmm. I remember for word problems, this is how we became friends. For word problems in math class, this is in the 1st grade, he would read the paragraph and he would write out the equation for me. To this day, I don't know if the equation that he wrote out for me is like correct or wrong, but he would write it out for me in numbers, and then I would just solve the equation.
That's funny.
Like that was my first experience as a kid.
Gotcha.
But I'm sure it was more difficult for you like to pick up English.
Yeah, it was just, I remember just feeling really awkward just sitting there, not being able to communicate. But, as a kid, like you're such a quick learner as a kid, you kind of pick it up. So,
Were you speaking, Russian?
Yeah, I just spoke Russian.
Uzbekanese?
It's just Russian,
Okay.
yeah.
Just making sure.
My family's Russian, but at the time, it was all the USSR. So basically,
Got it.
Russia was, in charge of these territories.
So you were born in, what, 80?
I was born in 90.
90.
So it's like right towards the end of the Soviet Union. And yeah, so just knew Russian, moved here, picked up English as a kid. I've made friends, some friends just barely being able to speak English because, kids just being kids, you find a way.
Right.
And so, yeah, I just picked it up along the way. Yeah.
Did you, what was the whole green card situation back then for you? Because this is like pre 9/11 and stuff. So I would assume maybe a little bit easier. We moved here in 2002, which, let me tell you, because it was just after 9/11 and like India just has a lot of people that like try to come here for green cards and stuff.
Yeah, I imagine after 9/11 it was probably a whole different process.
Was it easier for you guys back then?
Yeah, I didn't have to even really worry about it. I mean, like my dad, he was in software engineering, so he was like had a job and just working his way up the system. And I became a citizen as like a young teenager.
Really?
Yeah,
So it probably took like, well, still probably about like 10 years or so.
It took years, but I don't know what the beginning date was, just because it was like at that point, like as a kid, you don't know what the situation is. But I never something I had to really worry about, so just kind of worked itself out.
It took us 20 years. We moved in 2002. I became a citizen last year.
Yeah.
Like right before I started working, I became a citizen.
Government processes don't work quick, do they?
No, it really doesn't. And people, I think, oftentimes assume like, how people are always saying like, oh, you should become an immigrant like the right way, the legal way. I think they just like don't realize how long that takes.
And I think even now, I'm sure it's not even close to being even.
I think it's getting
better.
worse and worse. Yeah. Like I know for India specifically, the wait list just keeps getting longer and longer. Yeah. Like there's more and more people trying to come in every year, but the number of green cards they give out kind of stays pretty stagnant. And so it's just the wait list is like growing.
At some point, you would think the government just switched to like some AI system where it's like pick the best candidates, put them in the system, get them in like a year or two.
You would assume it'd be so much easier, but I'm sure to an extent it's still like a very manual process.
Yeah, I'm sure it's way too manual. I mean, it's government, like it's way too manual, way too tedious.
Right.
So yeah, not surprised.
And so you moved here. Did you guys move straight to Jacksonville at that point?
Yeah, I would stay with family in Philly for a little bit, for a few months, and then like basically we're just looking for like a place to go, and then not a place to actually like figuring out where to move to, but where to go, and then as far as like what section of the city, and then we moved to Jacksonville. And my dad got a job in Jacksonville. Yeah.
So then, at that point in your life, you're call it early days are over. You're like in high school. You've assimilated to like American culture. You know English and stuff pretty well at that point. How did you kind of get to like the what I want to do in college conversation? Like did you know you want to do something in finance or business or whatever, or was it like let's just see what happens?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it was so cloudy for me. Like high school, I was very much into just sports. I knew I liked business, but I didn't know anything about it. I definitely didn't know anything about finance. I wasn't like even that crazy about academics. I just wanted to play. I played basketball all the time for most of my life, like seriously. And so I really wanted to find a place to play basketball. But then once I got to college, I really found like a love for learning and a love for like learning about cool subjects such as finance and the marketing and business in general.
It's so interesting. Like as like a, I don't know, 16, 17-year-old, whatever, there's so much pressure to just like know exactly what you're supposed to want to do for the next 40 years of your life. And I don't know about you. For me, I had no idea. Like I was doing engineering because my dad's an engineer, my older sister's an engineer. Like I just thought that was like the right next step for me. But I had no idea what I wanted to do.
Yeah. I mean, looking back at it now, it makes you realize that really what you have around you is such a big determinant of what you end up doing because you don't know your options. You don't know what's available out there. There's not really a resource to say, here's the 50 million possibilities that what you could do. Try to find what works best for you. You kind of just are left on your own, even though you don't have the knowledge to really call upon that. So even I didn't even know what entrance exams to take. I know I was supposed to take an exam to get
the
into
ACT or whatever. Yeah.
So ACT, I think there's such a big dividing line when you're, let's say, 15, 16, folks that where they have that push to, hey, study for the ACT because you need to get this score to get in this college.
Right.
That's so different from where I came from, where that wasn't a priority.
And especially immigrant parents, our parents don't know. They don't know what the ACT is.
I have friends, from my MBA program, from my undergrad program that were studied, had tutors for years.
Yeah.
I took the ACT. I didn't even know what was on it. I just showed up because I knew I was supposed to take this test.
Right.
I didn't know what was on the test.
Right. And if you don't go to a high school that prepares you, which I was lucky enough to go to a high school where that was the main topic of conversation. How are we going to prepare you to college? So I felt lucky in that.
Did you go to a private school or a public school?
Public.
But it was a good public school?
It was a very good public school in a very wealthy area in Tennessee, a wealthy suburb. And at the time I was there, it was a top 10, top 15 public school in all of Tennessee.
Wow, so that's really impressive.
So it was really, really good. And actually, I was having this conversation recently with the difference between public and private school and stuff. And my eyes were kind of open to, I don't necessarily know that private schools provide a better opportunity for people. I think that is more so a creation of the kids that go to private school already just come from wealth and come from educated parents and that type of stuff, which I think that in itself, and I was having this conversation with someone the other day and we went into a super deep dive on it, and it turns out the research actually shows that it doesn't matter if you go to public or private. If you go to public high school but your parents are wealthy, both of them are college educated, whatever, you're just as likely to get into the top of the top universities as if you go to a private school. Okay. So it really comes down to your life situation more so than public and private.
I think the one difference is private school, they probably understand where to prioritize their efforts.
That's true.
My high school, it was a public school, but it wasn't a very, I think it was rated D when I was there. I think it's better now.
Yeah.
But academics wasn't it wasn't my main priority going in high school. I was more worried about sports and hanging out with friends and just trying to do okay but not do great.
Right. And you're probably trying to balance that line of oh, I've got a ton of students that will probably end up at a trade school or something. I need to prepare them for trade school.
Right. They're just some public high schools, mine was like this, but some are just trying to get kids graduated. Yeah. Just let's just try to get them graduated so they can get out of here and not aren't stuck here.
Actually, that was my biggest complaint with my high school was I know other high schools in our area, county schools, they had for example, they had a mechanic shop at their high school where they would teach kids about cars and how to fix cars and that type of stuff because they knew those kids were going to go to a trade school and then become a mechanic. My high school did nothing like that. And if you were one of those students that knew early on you didn't want to go to college, you kind of, by the way that my school was set up, you kind of got left behind. Right. They didn't really have anything for you to do.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So they were putting you, we had 3 levels of classes or whatever. We had honors, regular, and I don't remember what they were called, but there were 3 levels, right? And if you were one of those students that didn't want to go to college, which I think there's a lot of very good reasons not to go to college.
I agree.
If you're one of those students, you were automatically put in the lowest academic level because they were all of a sudden the school's telling you you're dumb, which I don't think that's true at all.
No.
Yeah,
to be honest, from my perspective, I think high school should focus on the trades more. I think I was a bit lucky that my parents are educated and they taught me a lot themselves. And even though I at the time wasn't very driven, I just naturally am pretty smart. It's I did well on the ACT even though I didn't know what was on it.
Right.
I didn't even bring a calculator. I just took the math.
What the fuck? Are you serious?
Yeah, I showed up. I didn't have a calculator. I just there's math. I'll just do it by hand.
How'd you do?
I did pretty good. The ACT, I got a 32 or 34 or something. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you're talking about you went to not that good of a
no.
high school?
And the AP courses?
Yeah.
Like, oh, I had history. Like, I didn't like really pay attention. I didn't like do the homework or anything, but I still passed like AP history,
So
the test itself. Yeah. So,
that's so funny. So comparison's sake, I went to what I consider to be a really, really good high school in Tennessee, public high school in Tennessee. I also made a 32 on the ACT.
yeah, that's funny. Yeah.
So that's crazy, you know. But
Yeah.
it also kind of shows you like these standardized tests are bullshit.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, but also I think I am a little bit of an exception too. Like most of my friends from high school were
Didn't
not,
do that
they
well.
weren't scoring like that.
Yeah.
They were just trying to get out of high
Graduate.
school.
Yeah, for
like,
sure,
so,
for sure. So then I guess at that point, you know, you've done really well on the ACT. Did you know, like, at what point did you know you were going to go to North Florida for college?
Yeah.
Was there a conversation you had? Did you want to go out of state? Did you want to go? Listen, to be completely honest with you, if you had been like a Florida Gator, we couldn't have been friends ever.
Oh yeah, Tennessee.
'Cause I went to
kid.
Tennessee,
Yeah.
Tennessee, Florida. That's like one of the biggest rivalries of all time.
My sister was a Florida Gator actually. Yeah.
I hate her. I'm sorry, I hate her. I hate her.
No, I was gonna be in state because Florida has a scholarship where if you get a certain GPA in high school,
Dude,
you
I
get
heard
paid.
this recently.
Yeah.
Okay, for the people that don't know, explain what this scholarship is, because this is crazy and I've never heard of anything like it before.
So if you get in high school, you're in high school, you get a certain GPA. Basically, if you go to a state school in the state of Florida, they give you a scholarship that pays for that. And I
for
think
the entire education, right? Tuition.
yes, yeah.
Full tuition at any public Florida
Yeah.
university.
Mine wasn't full because if I would have paid attention to grades, I would have got full. But mine was still pretty good. I got like 75% paid.
So it's
for
like
it.
more GPA weighted than like ACT weighted.
Yeah, it's all GPA weighted to
Okay.
be honest. Which actually is kind of strange because depending on school you go to, you could easily
Yeah.
get a better GPA or whatever. But
Yeah.
yeah, so that I knew I was going to be in the state of Florida. I knew I was going to go to a state school. I didn't really care too much about where I went to school. I knew I was going to go to college.
Yeah.
I knew I was going to do something in business. Didn't know what finance was. Didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. So I was going to just kind of figure it out. So
And North Florida is where? Is that in Jacksonville?
that's in Jacksonville, yeah.
Okay, so it was like let's like right down the road from where
Yeah,
you kind of grew up.
It was pretty close to home. I did that to save money. Like, I didn't have a lot of money growing up like that. I always worked since I was 15 onwards. I
Yeah.
had to make my own money.
Yeah.
So I didn't have like just a pocket full of money to go anywhere I wanted. So
Right.
money was a big consideration. So I went there. And obviously the scholarship was a big help for that.
Dude, that's so crazy to me. So Tennessee doesn't do anything like that. Their version of that is what we call the lottery scholarship. You know, the Tennessee lottery like pays for a lot of college education. It's gotten not worse over time. Tennessee has just changed its like scholarship policies like statewide. So now if you graduate and you want to go to a community college, for example, for 2 years, guaranteed you get free education no matter who you are, no matter what your GPA is, no matter what. You're guaranteed 2 years associate's degree at a community college provided to you by the state of Tennessee. So when I started college, it wasn't like that. And so the lottery scholarship was, you had to score some amount on the ACT. I don't remember what. Ours was like ACT based, not GPA based. And if you got a certain score, then you got $4,000 a year.
Okay.
Nowadays, I think it's $3,000 a year because part of that money has now been allocated for the 2-year associates thing. But there was never a conversation of you can go to a public university in Tennessee free if you like are
Yeah.
a good student, you know.
I think Florida, I mean, I know it got cut back too. And you know what?
And the University of Florida is like a really good school.
Yeah, like my sister she was fantastic with her grades and academics, like insane level. Like she had 1 million AP credits.
Yeah.
She took AP tests for classes she didn't even take in high school.
Yeah,
she just studied
that's
on her
crazy.
own and took it. And she had the full amount. And yeah, she went to University of Florida. And
I found this out recently too. University of Florida, a top 25 undergrad program.
really, yeah. I mean, I know it's a good school. Yeah.
Tennessee, I don't even think Tennessee's in the top 50.
Really?
And going to Tennessee because of the rivalry, I always thought that like Florida was like a shit school, you know? That was just like my mindset. It is apparently a really, really, really good school.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I have a lot of
that's
friends that went
impressive.
there, and I think they were pretty happy with their education, their outcome. It's a great school. We used to go down there just to, visit friends and hang
Right.
out. So I've been down there a bunch. Yeah.
But so, going back to you, you're at University of North Florida now. Kind of when you started, you still didn't really know about this finance stuff. Like you didn't know necessarily what you were going to do. At what point did you kind of figure out like what it was that you wanted to do as a career?
I mean, it was a long journey for me to really figure that out. I say I'd figured it out pretty late, and mind you, my first year of undergrad, I'm still trying to play basketball on the team.
Oh.
Yeah, I had
college basketball.
Yeah.
Were you on the team?
I was walking on the team.
Got it.
But I had lingering knee issues from high school. Like I was
And for people that don't know, Romeo is 6'5". He is massive. He's huge. We had to set up the cameras in a certain way that we look the same height, but we are not.
Yeah, I think you're trying to give the impression that you're 6'5" too, which is fine.
I'm also 6'5",
Yeah.
just for people that don't
We're
know.
both 6'5".
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Anyway.
But I had high school. I was playing basketball. I had scholarship offers to smaller schools. I didn't want to go to some small school in the middle of Baltimore or whatever. I had just St. Louis, Baltimore, like just different random kind of cities. I was like, I'd rather go play nearby and see if I can get on. But I had knee issues in high school. They re-injured early on in college. So that basically was done. And I think a lot of kids that are playing sports, they come to the realization sometime, could be sooner, could be later, that it's not, at some point it has to end. It's not going to continue forever. So I came to that point in like early undergrad years, freshman year-ish. And then I focused more on academics. So sports made me want to go to university to see if I could like play. And once I knew like, all right, I just can't.
Once you're there, yeah.
Yeah, so I had to, find something else to really focus in on. And so, yeah, I knew I wanted to do business. I actually studied business management at University of North Florida.
Okay.
I didn't know anything about finance. Finance came later on, like in my later years in undergrad.
Yeah.
Because your first years, you're taking a lot of random classes.
Right.
So I was taking philosophy, English.
Yeah, even as an engineer, same thing.
Marine biology.
Everyone's taking the same shit.
Which is odd because, like, I know why you have to take them, I guess, just to get a baseline foundation of certain things. But
okay, let me ask you this. Did you, in those like early year classes, did you learn anything that you didn't already learn in high school?
I mean, I learned new things, but I don't think it was worth 2 years.
Yeah.
Like, cool, I learned some
I kind
cool
of
stuff
agree.
about philosophy or whatever.
I kind of agree.
But I think that should probably be maybe the first 3 semesters.
Yeah.
Or like 2 semesters you do that.
I don't need to be taking Chemistry 101 my second semester of my sophomore year.
I took like marine biology. Like, what am I doing taking marine biology?
Right.
But that meant like I really didn't really figure out what I wanted to do within business until really late, like junior, senior year. And by that point, I was already doing business management. I was like, I'll just stick this out. And so I didn't really, like, I knew I liked finance, but I just didn't even go into that because I was like, all right, I'm already doing business management. Let's just stick this out and do that. And so that's pretty much how I.
So did you graduate with a business management degree?
Business management, and I did marketing as well. So I got
Marketing,
2 undergrad degrees.
So then you end up becoming an underwriter, also in Jacksonville.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. And you did that for, if I remember correctly, like 5, 6 years.
5 years. Yeah. About 5 years.
And you were doing specifically like real estate related stuff.
Yeah.
How did you like get into that? Because that feels a lot more specialized than like general business management, right?
Right. So actually, oddly enough, I did an internship my senior year. I did a study abroad in Madrid, Spain for 6 months my junior year.
That's cool.
Which was amazing.
Wait. I want to know more about this for a second. Madrid, Spain, was there like other opportunities for you there, or like other places you could have gone, or like your school only was going to Madrid?
I think there might have been something in like China, but like why would you pick China over Madrid?
It's cool. I mean, I think some people would argue that like Mandarin is like really important for business nowadays. But no, I kind of agree with you. If you've got the opportunity to go to Madrid as like part, like I kind of agree.
A buddy of mine, I was gonna do 2 weeks study abroad, and then a good buddy of mine who's European, he's Bosnian, he was like, I'll do it with you. We should do 6 months, the full semester study abroad. So I was like, yes, full semester.
In Madrid.
And they kind of just like, you kind of just land there, and you're kind of like, you figure out your own apartment, you figure out like how to get to and from class. It was pretty cool. Like, it was a once in a lifetime experience for sure. But yeah, we just did a semester in Madrid. There were other international students from not only the U.S. but other European countries. So I made a lot of international friends. I highly recommend study abroad experience.
Yeah, my sister did a study abroad. She went to Japan. So like,
oh, Japan. Nice.
Yeah,
okay.
as I mentioned, like my family's from Japan, or born in India, lived in Japan for 4 years before he came here. So my sister's always been actually our entire family has always been super fascinated with Japan. She went and did like a month in Japan in high school. She did a full semester in Japan in college. And she always says she met some of her closest friends. So she's actually getting married later this year in September and again in November. Same guy, but 2 different weddings. One in America, one in Japan.
That's better than 2 guys.
You're right. 2 guys, 2 weddings in the same year. That'd be crazy.
That'd
be crazy.
That's a hell of a year.
But no, same guy, 2 weddings, one in America, one in Japan, and one of her bridesmaids is a girl that she met like during her study abroad, because they just like she's always told me that it's like an experience like nothing else. Like you just get so close to these people who like everyone that's like coming from other places, and like you're in this like shared experience. I never did one, and I kind of wish that I could go back and do one.
I mean, I would recommend it. It's just, first of all, it's just a great way to see the world, see a new perspective. And to be honest, before that, I hated traveling. Before doing the study abroad, hated traveling. Didn't really like leaving. You know, I always thought, well, my friends are here, you know, with me.
Right.
What do I need to like go see so and so place? Like, why? What's the point? But after, you know, moving and seeing a new country, and also like I got to travel around Europe. We got to do school trips that were really fun. Really opened my eyes up to seeing the world and made me love traveling. So like I've also been to Japan. I stayed there for 2 weeks before.
Nice.
Not during that time, but later on.
Yeah.
Love that.
Awesome,
love
man.
that culture.
Japan's awesome.
Japan's amazing. The way the people behave themselves and the way that culture is. And
Have you ever been to India?
never been to India, no.
You should go to India, man.
India's far. It's far.
It is far.
What is that, 20-hour flight?
So I just went back in end of April, early May, and it's far. I think it took me probably about 21 hours from start to finish to get
lengthy.
there. Which it's really far, but in my personal opinion, there's not anything else like it. Like culture-wise.
Really?
You know,
Okay.
I don't think you're going to experience anything else in your life like India. I'm a little biased towards southern India. If you were to go and you had like some time, like a week, 2 weeks, I would recommend you kind of go like a little bit in the south, a little bit in the north, because it's very different.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, food, culture, the cities, they're very different. So I would recommend you go to both, but I'm a little biased toward South India. That's where my family's from. It's awesome, man.
They're from the south.
And like I'm talking, you get amazing street food for a couple rupees. Like I'm talking 5, 10, maybe like 20 rupees. You can get like amazing street food, which comes out to like, I think the current exchange rate is like $1, like 80.
Right.
So it's like 25 cents.
Yeah, it's just one of those countries where like you get a lot for your dollar. Yeah.
When we went this past May, I went to lunch one day with my dad and one of his friends. We had a full like giant meal, and the entire bill was like under $12.
Yeah.
For 3 people.
That's crazy.
That's amazing. It's so cool, and the food is like amazing. Like, would definitely recommend it.
That's kind of like when I was in Morocco. Yeah, people were shocked.
Yeah.
I'm like, you 3 course meal. You're just stuffed. Everything's fresh. Like it's not like something's you know, whatever, packaged and frozen. It's all fresh, and it's like $7.
Yeah.
Like, this is
dude. I love cultures like that. And I've grown to appreciate it more. I remember as a kid when we used to go to India a lot, like I used to think it was such like a chore to go.
Right.
And especially for us, like it was a lot of like visiting family and stuff. And don't get me wrong, I love my family, extended family. I mean, I love them. But as a kid, it felt very much like like all my friends back home in America are going to like summer camp.
Right.
And like they're like, while they're not in school, they're like having fun, like hanging out with each other. And I'm just sitting here with like my aunts, uncles, grandparents, and just like we're just staying in the house, not doing anything. Just like my parents are talking while I sit there in the corner is what it felt like. As I've gotten older, I've like gotten a lot more appreciation for it, and I love it. This last time we went for my sister's like engagement party was hands down in the 20 years that I have lived in the U.S. This was the most fun I've had going to India. It was so much fun.
That's amazing.
So would definitely recommend, but. Sorry, that was a little tangent. Going back to you, so you finish up college, right? You get into the underwriting stuff. Mm-hmm. And you do that for years. It's like comfortable. If you don't mind me asking, as an undergrad student graduating into your very first job, what were they paying you as an underwriter?
So I actually started as an analyst. It was one of those tracks where it was analyst, senior analyst, and then underwriter.
Okay.
So as an analyst, I believe I started at like the mid 50s. Did that for a year.
And this is 2013, 14?
2014, 2015.
Okay.
I actually had another job before that.
Really?
I did a few months as actually my internship that hired me full time after graduation with a community business bank that worked with local businesses in the area.
Interesting. For like loans and
yeah, it was a lot
business
of
checking
revolvers.
Got it.
It was more so just commercial loans, revolvers, C&I stuff, real estate stuff, just
cool.
all kind of like law firms, doctors, actual like operations. So I did that for a few months and then moved into this role in commercial real estate.
Yeah.
Which I found to be very cool. Like doing, and the gist of what we were doing was basically doing senior debt for commercial properties all across the U.S. A lot of multifamily office properties,
Right.
Retail. So got to see different projects, underwrite those, present them for loan approval, and then take them through the process of going through the, getting the loan, getting the financing.
So you went from analyst to senior
analyst.
And then underwriter.
And then underwriter, yeah.
Is there like a huge difference in your actual job between that senior analyst and underwriter role?
Underwriter, you just basically take on more responsibilities. By the time you're underwriter, you're leading the deal, so to speak.
Okay.
Like you're the one that's writing up this credit memo. It's about 20 pages of all the information for the loan. You're the one looking at new opportunities, doing the underwriting, which, to be honest, it's not all that intensive. There's a little model portion to it. You look at the market, you look at the property, you present all that for approval.
So what's compensation-wise? What is the track there? Like, how much have you increased your salary at that point by?
Yeah, so by the time you're an underwriter, my base was, I believe it was 75, 80, and so it's a few years in.
Which is really
by
good.
I think year 3-ish, I was
That's really,
underwriter.
really good.
Yeah. And I think the bonus was like 15% or something of your base, or 20%.
Which, dude, one of the biggest, just giant question marks in my life is just how bonuses work in the business finance world versus like where I came from in engineering. Like the concept of a 15% bonus, which I know like to us now, like being in banking, like seems like nothing. As an engineer, 15% is crazy.
Really? Okay.
Like I got, as my engineering bonus, the first company that I worked for out of undergrad, I was making very good money coming out of undergrad. I graduated in 2018. They were paying me like $77 coming out of undergrad. My bonus was one single paycheck. So I got $2,000 maybe,
Gotcha.
$2,500 at best. Like, so, and like when my sister was an engineer, well, she's still an engineer, but in the early days, same for my dad, early days, like that was normal. You got like maybe 1.5 paychecks worth. So like the concept of like a 15%, just 3 years out of undergrad, that's crazy to me.
Yeah, it's a pretty big bump. And then, for all the years I was there, I exceeded whatever the, expectations were. So I got above like 100% of my bonus. So usually like 120%.
So you were getting like 18, closer to 20% of your salary as a bonus.
Yeah. Somewhere around there, yeah.
That's impressive. So then, I mean, I'm not going to lie, for most kids that are in undergrad time frame right now, they hear you're making $75,000, $80,000 plus a 15 to 20% bonus. Like, it sounds like a pretty like good lifestyle. Mm-hmm. So why leave that behind to go back and pursue your MBA?
Yeah, that's a great question. One that I wrestled with a lot while I was there.
You're like, I'm still wrestling with it right now.
No. So the upsides of being there, right, was it was definitely more of a 9-to-5 gig. I didn't have to take my laptop home and work from home.
Right.
I didn't have to work weekends. You kind of just knew what you were going to get.
Yeah.
Very standard. But I always wanted to just challenge myself and go into something higher end, like something further on.
Like you got like a look, like you got used to it.
Yeah, I knew I wanted to do
You're
more.
Comfortable.
Like I was studying for the CFA anyway. Like I was thinking, I'm doing the CFA, but is it really going to get me anywhere else? Like I passed level 1, I was moving on to level 2.
Right.
And I figured I should go back to business school and like really just make that big leap
Yeah,
into
for
the
sure.
unknown and see what I could do elsewhere. And so decided that that was just the best path to go to. Yeah.
And so I don't know if I mentioned this earlier. You went to Notre Dame for your MBA
Notre
in
Dame,
person, COVID era, same as me. Did you guys ever do like? Did you have to do like a virtual year or anything like
I
that?
will brag about Notre Dame on this. So Notre Dame was one of the few schools that, they were defying a lot of people's,
Yeah,
a lot of people were saying you got to lock down, you got to do virtual. Notre Dame spent the time, money, effort to put in policies,
like
mask
make
on,
it safe
make it
and
safe, but in person. So we
yeah,
were in person
dude,
the
that's
first year
huge.
with the mask.
That's huge.
They set up a testing center in like
Yeah.
one of the giant buildings. You had to go once a week and get tested.
Everyone did.
There's an app, yeah, like there's an
Wow.
app where you get your test results and
Dude,
like,
that's huge.
yeah, some people caught COVID, but who didn't at that time,
Yeah,
whether
for
you're
sure.
in school or not. But I give it hands off. I love that school.
Yeah.
They did such a great job of finding a way to make it work in person.
Yeah. And in my personal opinion, like obviously COVID was a really big thing and like affected a lot of universities especially. And like I can't blame the universities that shut down and went full virtual. But that being said, so I went to UNC, and they told us maybe a week before we started school that they were going fully virtual. And in my head, the first thing I thought was, well, this isn't what I signed up for.
Right.
Like
I think a lot of schools secretly knew what they were doing when
yeah,
they're like,
because like UNC had a great online program. Like, I mean, I think even right now they're the #1 online program in the country,
Right,
which
yeah.
is great. But that's not the reason I was going. I
Yeah.
wanted the full in person. I wanted employers to come to me, beg me to interview for their company, and like, I wanted that experience. And I missed out on it a lot. And I think having everything switched to virtual, I think it worked. Everything worked out for me, but it just wasn't what I was expecting it to be.
Right.
And I personally had a really hard time making friends that first year. I lived probably 30 minutes away from the school, and so, because everything was virtual, I wasn't going to any of the social events. Even the school sanctioned ones, like they would have like little happy hours, get-togethers, that were all like compliant with like local laws and everything. But they would have little happy hours. I didn't go to a single one. I didn't know anybody until my second year where everything was like open again.
Right.
And so I'm very jealous of the fact that Notre Dame like figured it out.
Yeah.
And they were like, no, this is what we're doing.
Right. I mean, I'm very proud of them. I mean, and there was a lot of, it wasn't an easy road for them to go on. There was a lot of people criticizing them and saying like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
This is dangerous, blah, blah. But, they set up the desk where they're spaced apart. They
Yep.
made sure everyone was wearing masks. They hired folks to go around with these kind of spray guns and spray like sanitizer everywhere.
Yeah.
And looking back, to be honest, like they probably,
It probably felt silly at the time.
yeah, at the time, like it felt silly, but I was like, I know they have to do this,
Yeah.
so they can actually support the argument of like we need to stay open for the sake of these kids and getting their education. And so I'm very proud for them that they did that, and that's one of the reasons I love the school.
Yeah,
for many other reasons as
sure.
well, but
For sure.
yeah, I had a great experience given the circumstances that we were all going through during
And
COVID.
did you know early on going to get your MBA at Notre Dame that you wanted to do investment banking specifically?
Yes, I was shooting for investment banking. I was also considering other like finance options.
Yeah.
One of the things I wasn't aware of was how early investment banking started as far as recruiting goes.
Yep.
So I actually still was working my first like month into the MBA program because I had deals I had to finish.
Right.
In my previous role, I didn't want to just leave them high and dry, but
Oh, like working at your previous job,
yeah,
like full time.
and I couldn't give them my, to be honest, I couldn't give them like a full.
Yeah.
They knew I was going to school, so they were like, stay on, finish these deals, and I was like, I'll do it. So
Dude, that's a lot. And kind of similar to how we were talking about earlier, like 17, 18-year-olds like don't know what they're doing, and like it's so much pressure to put on those age kids about like what you're going to do for the next 40 years of your life. That's kind of similar how I felt entering my MBA.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know anything. Sounds like you were pretty set on investment banking. I didn't know anything. I just knew I wanted to do something in finance. and someone mentioned investment banking early on to me. I was like, yeah, that sounds great. It sounds challenging. It sounds like it's a lot of money. I want to do that. But once recruiting starts, like everything's like such a whirlwind and it happens so fast. Like you don't even have time to like look at anything else.
Yeah.
Like once you've made that choice, I'm going to recruit for banking or consulting or marketing or whatever. It's like you don't have time to like switch lanes.
No, you don't. I mean, it's almost like you pick a path very early and you have to go full 100 miles per hour at it. And to be honest, a lot of the time you have to start before school even starts. Like ideally, I should have started a month before even starting my MBA program.
Like cold calling people.
Yeah,
or
and I didn't know that. I'm still like working, still like
I knew nothing.
I'm thinking I go to school, do what I'm supposed to do, and it'll happen. But you got to get after it really early.
Yeah, for sure. And you had kind of an interesting opportunity. Your second year, I think this is correct. Your second year at Notre Dame, you had during the semester like investment banking internship, as well as your summer, or I can't actually remember the years, but you did like a in semester investment banking internship, and you also did a summer internship in like corporate strategy.
Right.
Can we say the name of that company? The second company?
I'm sure we can. Yeah.
Okay, so you worked for Southwest Airlines. A little inside joke there. No, you worked for American Airlines in corporate strategy, and then you also did an investment banking internship, which I think is like pretty unique in the sense of like not everyone gets to see like a little bit of both sides.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I guess doing that, because you did the investment banking internship first, what did you like feel about that? Were you like, no, I don't want to do this? Were you always planning on wanting to see what was out there?
Right. That's a great point. I think my path was a little bit unique. So I did a spring semester of my first year and a full spring semester internship.
Yeah.
Actually, it was probably about almost half of the spring semester, so it wasn't the full semester with an investment bank. And it really just gave me a taste for the investment banking world. Learned a good amount. Like, I was not thrown into a deal, but I was helping out and assisting with some of the things that they were looking at. So I got some decent experience there. And I really did it because I wanted experience in investment banking and something I can call upon and say, like, I did this and this is what I learned from it. And then, I went to a summer internship with American Airlines doing corporate development strategy for them and worked on like a real life project that they were working on at the time. I don't know if I can talk about it. It was a little bit secret.
Maybe you can't talk about the specifics of what you did at Southwest. But can we talk about the perks that they gave you guys? Is that allowed?
I think so.
Okay.
I don't remember signing anything.
Can you please tell these people what American was offering you, even as an intern, the perks?
Right. So this is pretty cool. Yeah, I would say this is great. So even as interns, and this is something that the interns took advantage of, not in a bad way, in a good way. They wanted to take advantage of this perk.
Right, they wanted you to.
But essentially, you get free flights on flights with seats available.
It's anywhere.
Anywhere.
You were in what city? In Dallas?
I was in Dallas at the headquarters, at the main headquarters. They built a really nice campus.
Yeah.
So they have a lot going on at the campus.
Yeah, you didn't have just like an office at the airport, like
no,
at
no,
DFW.
No. Their big headquarters is down there. They do a lot there, from pilot training to the actual like headquarters where all the operations and finance teams and cargo teams and all these other great things go on. They also had a very nice Starbucks. They had a full cafeteria of like 8 different restaurants.
Dang.
Great campus. Yeah,
wow.
Great. It's a brand new, great campus.
Yeah.
But yeah, you get free flights.
Anywhere in the world that they fly to.
Yeah, anywhere that you go to. So
even international.
I went to, me and a couple other interns on a 3-day weekend. It was a holiday weekend.
Yeah.
We went to Amsterdam for 3 days. So
completely free, airfare completely free.
Yeah.
That's crazy, dude.
So it was, it was great.
But from my understanding, they kind of weaved that heavily into the total compensation package.
Right.
Meaning like they almost, this is me just kind of assuming things, they almost undercut you on your base salary because they were like, oh, look at this great perk benefit that we're giving you.
Right. I think what they do is, they assign a value to it, that they see as fair. And so they know that, people get to use this perk.
Yep.
And so they kind of take that into consideration when they offer
Right.
your compensation package. But to be honest, for Texas, I think it was still fair comp given,
I think
there's no
that's
state
fair.
tax.
No state tax. And
It's big. Texas is a pretty good cost of living unless you're in Austin.
And
So.
DFW is like a huge airport that you can go to anywhere you want to.
Yeah, I mean, I went to Napa.
Yeah. Mexico ever?
Nashville. I went to Mexico City.
Feels easy. Yeah.
It was it was great. I mean, I like the company itself. Like if I was looking to do more so of that, it would have been a good place to be. I was looking for something a little bit different though.
Yeah. We should go to Dallas. Yeah. I've heard it's a fun city.
I enjoyed my time in Dallas. Yeah.
Jake Paul's fighting in Dallas soon.
Okay.
So,
yeah. I don't care too much to see
anyway,
fight, but yeah, let's do. Yeah.
Anyway, so then you ultimately decided on a full-time job in investment banking. What are, I guess, just generally high-level speaking, was it what you expected in terms of like the hours, the stress, anxiety?
Yeah, to be honest, I knew it would be a lot of hours. I thought I'd be able to handle the hours a bit better, but I think the worst part of the hours and the stress and all that is just it's a buildup of one on top of the other.
Yep.
So the long hours are constant, especially if you're like in a
the
deal.
middle of the deal,
yeah,
right.
in the middle of the deal, like as you know,
Yep.
once you're in it, like you're staying up late almost every night doing something, and that like over time as it accumulates,
Yeah.
after getting 4 hours of sleep day after day after day after day, you kind of just become a zombie.
I completely agree.
Yeah, and it's tough to be fresh. It's tough to like even like think some days just because you're just so tired. So I think that's probably the worst part about it is just this like work-life balance of.
I think the biggest, I don't want to say lie. I don't think it's a lie. I think for some people it does work out well. I think the biggest misunderstanding that I had was everyone always tells you there's like, it like ebbs and flows, right? Like everyone tells you there's like ups and downs. There's times where you're like getting killed and there's times that you're like completely free, not doing anything. In my personal experience, I had the unfortunate experience of like anytime my one deal was like kind of slowing down, I would get staffed on something else that was just absolutely crushing me. And so it never felt like I was getting more than a week at most at times of like a break. And you know how it is. In investment banking, a break week is still like 60 hours.
Yeah.
And like a bad week is like 100 plus. So it's like you weren't really getting any sort of like break. I was like not doing basically any YouTube stuff, which is like my passion, like what I want to do. It's a very difficult lifestyle for sure.
Yep.
And I guess for you, doing that for an extended period of time, like definitely takes a toll on you. Was it still like something where you were like, this is what I expected coming out of college?
That's a great question.
Everyone talks about it, right? Everyone is like, investment banking is hard. You work a lot of hours, blah, blah, blah.
I think it was worse than I expected, mainly because from what I thought, you work long hours, but there's times when you won't work long hours, but the whole time I was there, I was working long hours.
Yeah.
So there was no
And even the downtimes, there's this like voice in the back of your head, like the stress of like, oh, what's coming next?
Yeah, like you're checking your phone.
Yeah.
It could be Saturday night at 10 p.m., 11 p.m.
Yeah.
You're still checking your phone, like, do I have something coming in?
Right.
So there's really, you're on 24/7. Like you're on. Sometimes, some days, as soon as you wake up, you grab your phone, like, what's going on? I'm waiting on this.
Right.
So the fact that it's just like you're always on the clock, you're always on, you're always waiting for something.
Yeah.
That to me is like what takes its toll. Like it just accumulates.
Right.
So I think that's the tough part. You don't really ever like log off. You don't really ever unplug.
Yep.
You're always on. And
Completely
I think that
agree.
to me that's different than if I had to work a long day.
Yep.
And like, okay, I'm done.
Yep.
The long day's
you
over.
You go home.
Yeah, you
relax.
go home, relax.
There's none of that.
There's none of that. You're always checking. Like you can get something at midnight. You get something at 1 a.m.
Yeah, 100%.
So it's never ending.
100%. Well, now it's time for everyone's favorite segment, getting silly in the room.
Okay, let's do it.
Listen, man, this segment doesn't really have a name. I'm working on names. This is the first one I came up with. We're 5 episodes in. It doesn't have a name. But essentially, this is the part of the show where
how silly are we getting?
we step away from the deep conversations we've been having. We have some more lighthearted conversation, and we're just getting silly.
Okay.
Listen, if you guys have better names, please fucking tell me, because getting silly in the room is not
Please,
good.
somebody give this a better name.
Okay, well, anyway, you know what? Let's go back to Jake Paul for a second. You know, as the resident Russian on the show,
Right.
and you mentioned that you are a big UFC fan. It's not UFC, but Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz. It's coming up August 5th. I think probably by the time this episode comes out, this fight is like way in the past. But
So I can predict the future right now?
yeah. Well, no, because by the time this episode, you're predicting the future, right now. But
And we'll see
when
if
this
it's
episode,
right
exactly
when it comes out.
Who's gonna win? Who did win a couple weeks ago in the Jake Paul Nate
Who
Diaz
did win a
fight?
few? I think Jake Paul wins. I think he's really good at hand-picking opponents that seem tough, but aren't really tough.
Ooh, that's a huge diss. I'm gonna send this.
He's a full-time. Jake Paul's a full-time boxer.
Yeah.
And I think he's good at fighting guys that people think are good boxers. But like Nate Diaz isn't a boxer.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. In my head, I'm like, Nate Diaz, oh, he was like the face of the UFC for like a couple years. And I think about it and I was like, oh, that was like 15 years ago.
It was a long time ago. He's old.
You know?
He hasn't fought in a while.
And supposedly he's like super jiu-jitsu heavy.
He's very jiu-jitsu heavy, yeah.
Which means what? Like he's better on the ground?
He's better at taking guys down and putting them in submission holds, like arm bars and
can't do that in
and
boxing,
choke
obviously.
holds.
He's not a striker.
You can't do that in boxing. His boxing, like I don't think he's he doesn't have a lot of power. I don't think he knocks Jake Paul out. I think Jake Paul kind of wears him down, and then like
They're going 10 rounds now, you know.
Yeah, which is in favor of Nate. If Nate Diaz can survive,
You think that's in favor of Nate?
Yeah, Nate Diaz is really good cardio. Really good cardio.
Interesting.
If he could survive past like round 5,
You think Jake's gonna knock him out?
I think Jake Paul gets a knockout because the level in boxing is just different.
Now, I personally said the same thing when he fought Tommy Fury. I was like, oh, Jake's got this in the bag. And I watched that fight, and I wanted to throw up.
But, you know, I thought the opposite because Tommy Fury's an actual boxer.
He's an actual professional boxer.
He's not like the top ranked or he's not like some superstar boxer.
Yeah.
Like he wouldn't, Tommy Fury wouldn't beat a top ranked boxer.
Yeah, for sure.
But he's still a full-time boxer.
Right. And he's been doing it since he was a kid. Jake's only
the
been
Fury
doing this a couple
family,
years.
they've always been into boxing.
Like, when I watched that fight, I don't know if you watched it or highlights or anything. It was just like, Jake couldn't do anything. You look at the stats after the fight, like punches thrown. Tommy's throwing double the punches that Jake threw, you know? So it's just like wearing him down slowly.
Right.
And like, I mean, we all know it. Like, he's got the power. He looks like you. His arms are huge.
Right. And he's still smaller than you, but yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, honestly, you should fight Tommy Fury.
No, I'd get knocked out. I'm not naive enough to think I could fight a boxer. No.
Well, okay, similarly, did you hear how Zuckerberg and Elon are going to fight, apparently?
Yeah, I did hear that, yeah.
And this is like real? They've like both agreed to like a cage match, like a UFC-style cage match.
Yeah, that's going to be pretty interesting, yeah.
So let's get your prediction on that one.
But see, I don't know. I've never seen them. If I would have seen them in
That's what
action, I
makes
would
it
know. That is what makes it fun.
I think Zuck's got it.
I think Zuckerberg got it because I know he does jiu-jitsu as well.
Yep, he just posted a picture recently with Volk and Israel Adesanya.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
And they're like training him. And honestly, dude, he looks jacked.
Yeah, I mean, apparently he's got a lot of free time. I guess
yeah.
it's not that hard to
You're
run.
right. Yeah, it's not that hard to run.
He's got more
Facebook.
free time than we had free time.
I know.
I couldn't train for a UFC fight.
Actually, I went to a boxing gym here in Richmond for a month maybe. I went every single Tuesday and Thursday at 6 a.m. or whatever it was. And at the end of the month, I seriously considered like getting a full-time membership there because it was, they had pro boxers there. They would like train you to compete. And I was like ready to do it.
That's awesome. And
last second, I couldn't pull the trigger just because like work is so unpredictable.
Yeah.
You never know if you're going to be able to go. Going at 6 a.m. was a nightmare, especially if you're going to bed at like 3. I'm not trying to wake up at 6 and go box. And it was $200 a month.
Right.
Which is
that's a lot.
expensive,
That's a
dude.
lot. Yeah. But that, yeah, to be honest, yeah, if you were in a regular job, you probably could do it. But yeah, investment banking,
No,
you can't have any hobbies.
You can't do it. You can't do it. But Zuckerberg and Elon, I think Elon is significantly older, right? He's certainly not as fit, not in shape. I'm not saying he's not fit at all. I think for his age, he definitely looks like a fit guy. I have no idea why either of them agreed to this. I don't know what the benefit is.
Great question.
Maybe it's like a Threads versus Twitter thing. Are you on Threads yet?
No.
You should get on Threads.
I'm not on Twitter. My social media, I try to keep it limited.
Wow,
okay. To, not be on my phone, even though I'm on my phone too much already.
You keep your social media limited to just the dating apps.
No.
The last thing that I want to talk to you about, I want to rate the hottest male actors in Hollywood. Okay, I'm going to give you a list. I've got a list that I got from a random website, and let's objectify them a little bit,
Okay.
Specifically male actors, we're going to rate them out of 10, okay? Chris Hemsworth, Thor.
This is, okay. Thor's got to be
I need a score out of 10. 10 out of 10?
Yeah.
You're going right from the jump.
Man,
10 out of 10.
If I could look like Thor, I'd want to look like Thor, yeah.
Listen, I'm sure he would say if I could be 6'5", I would be 6'5",
Yeah. What did you rate him?
You
got to do it too.
To be fair, I have the list in front of me. I would say Chris Hemsworth's up there. I'd give him at the very least, an 8.5, but you're probably right. Like a 9 minimum.
Me, I'm biased because I'm more into like...
White guys?
He's got a physique. He looks like he works out.
He has a great physique.
I'm more so like, okay, he's got a good physique.
Yeah.
What can I do to look like that?
I feel with that.
Yeah.
Or I feel you on that one. Next one, Tom Holland. He definitely has that boyish charm going on.
Yeah, he looks like a kid to me though. Yeah.
Ooh.
I can't really rate him.
Which is why he's
kind of weird.
Why he's Spider-Man. He is Spider-Man because he's so boyish.
Right, Spider-Man, the character is supposed to be like
meant to be like a high schooler.
Yeah, like a skinny kind of nerdy kind of like.
But I'm pretty sure he's like 26. He's like my age.
Yeah, but he
does look.
He plays out like part of like a young-looking guy.
I think he's a good-looking dude. I wouldn't say he's like hot. You know what I mean? I think he's a good-looking dude.
Right.
He's attractive. I'd give him say an 8.
I'd say like 7. Yeah.
Okay. Michael B. Jordan.
Michael B. Jordan. I saw the Creed movie.
I'm going straight 10 on this one.
I give like a 9. Yeah, he's jacked.
He's huge, dude. Yeah. Especially in the newest Creed, Black Panther, the first one. He's looking massive. And I think he's got a great smile. Like he's a good-looking dude.
I agree. Good-looking dude.
Next one, Idris Elba was at once upon a time 5-6 years ago world's hottest man.
Was he? Okay.
Us Weekly or whatever. My mom used to read that tabloid. He was like the world's sexiest man alive. You know who Idris Elba is? Well. Yeah, a little older. Yeah. Probably in his like late 40s, early 50s.
He's like a grown man look,
Definitely.
Just a grown man.
But the whole salt and pepper look, I'm really digging it. I actually really like that. I've got a couple grays right now, and back in the day I used to like pluck them out. I've started to keep them.
You're gonna just keep it going?
I kind of like it.
Do you have grays already?
Dude.
Aren't you a little young for that?
I'm 26 years old. I've got so many gray hairs.
I don't have.
They're not even gray. They are straight white.
I don't have any of that, man.
You have great genes.
I don't know.
Apparently. No, I'm serious, and it's like significantly exacerbated after starting this investment banking job.
Yeah.
And also my hair loss.
Really?
And chest pains. I just have a lot of physical problems with my body now.
It's a recovery period after like this whole life.
It's tough, dude. Idris Elba?
I'd say 8, yeah.
I'm giving him not as high as Michael B. Jordan for me. I'm going 9. 9 on Idris.
Okay, so Jordan 9, Elba 8, yeah. Fair.
Next one, Chris Evans, Captain America.
That's a tough one. I don't remember exactly how he looked, to be honest.
He's kind of been out of the public eye for a little bit. He looked really good as Captain America. I don't know that I necessarily think he's that great looking.
I think he's a solid 8, maybe.
Yeah, I'm going slightly below Tom Holland, 7.5.
Okay. Fair enough.
Next one, Johnny Depp. Here's my question. These names are coming off of a random list. To put Johnny Depp on here in 2023 is insane to me. What the fuck are we doing? are we in 1976? Like
I was gonna say he's like, yeah,
he looked good back in the day. Honestly, even as Captain Jack Sparrow back in the day, he looked good. Now,
he's in a different life.
no, I'm giving Johnny Depp nowadays. I'm giving him like a 5.5. 6.
Yeah, I'd say 6 because I don't know, he's kind of cool still, but like
Yeah,
he's
he's a chill dude.
he's not in like that same.
I'm not saying he's hot.
No, he's not in the same realm. He's like
No.
he's just trying to like get his life together.
Yeah,
You know, post
yeah.
divorce, all that like drama stuff. So
Similarly, Hugh Jackman.
Wolverine, is it Wolverine? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what he looks like now.
Did you
Wolverine
see the,
was like a while ago.
What have you seen the new pictures that have come out recently of the Deadpool 3?
I haven't seen any of that.
Okay,
no.
he looks crazy. He looks insane. He looks not good.
I think. Wait, insane but not good.
Insane meaning he physically looks insane. Like the hair is crazy.
Oh, okay, not
and
like okay.
Like Logan. Did you watch that movie?
Yes.
The Wolverine Logan movie?
Yeah, that was a while ago too, though. Wasn't
That
it?
was a while ago.
Yeah.
He looked good in that movie.
Yeah.
In the newest picture that I saw of him in Deadpool 3, that's like coming out, I don't know, probably next year or the year after or something, he does not look good.
But he's not the main actor, is he?
No. It's gonna be who's Deadpool? Ryan Reynolds?
Yeah, Ryan Reynolds, right?
Which I think Ryan Reynolds is good looking.
He's a good-looking dude. See, I think that matters. I think if they're the main guy, they probably got to put a lot of time in and be like, I got to be on point
I see what you're
because
saying.
everything is about
Yeah.
me. Whereas if
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
just
yeah.
like a secondary character,
Right.
he's probably like whatever.
He's like, I don't care. Disney doesn't care.
Yeah,
Marvel
because
doesn't
Logan
care.
was all about.
You're
him.
right.
Yeah.
You're right.
So
I'm
now
going like
it's gonna be kind of low. Yeah.
same as John.
6?
Actually, I'm not gonna lie. I just don't think Hugh Jackman's that attractive. I'm gonna go 7 or like
He used to
6
be
and a
ripped
half.
when he was Wolverine.
That's true. Back in the day,
Also, I don't know these guys. I don't know what they're taking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of them I heard are.
like on
Taking
stuff,
stuff,
like
yeah.
Dwayne the Rock Johnson, gotta be on something.
He's definitely on.
On something.
Yeah.
I would never believe. Did you see that guy, Liver King?
Yeah.
That like supposedly only eats like raw meat or something.
Yeah.
But got recently caught like taking steroids.
Yeah, to me, the guy's a joke because
He
it's like the
is.
whole time he's just telling it. Here's my thing: if you want to take steroids, do it, but like at least be honest about it.
Yeah.
Don't tell people eat like
All natural. I'm
eat-
eating
yeah,
raw meat.
Because you're looking like that, and you're telling people I only look like this because I eat raw liver.
Yeah.
Like you're basically lying to everyone.
You're a liar.
You're just lying about it, and so I can't take him. I mean, that guy's to me is a joke because
Yeah.
like you're just lying about it. He spent $10,000 a month on steroids.
Dude, that's crazy.
10 grand a
Also,
month.
it's like, why are we lying about this? Like,
I know, right?
steroids are like illegal in like professional sports and stuff. But as like just you want it in your personal life so you can like be big.
Right. Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Just do it and just tell us that's what you're doing.
Yeah. To me, I think it's fair if you're honest about it. But when you start lying
Yeah.
about it, then to me, it's kind of shitty. You know?
Yeah. Okay. Next one, Paul Rudd.
Paul Rudd, he's just like an average-looking guy to me. What do you think?
So I think Paul Rudd is like the adult version of Tom Holland. He's not like
Oh, okay.
ripped hot, right? But he's like a cute dude, and he.
So-
Well, okay, maybe he's a good-looking guy, and I like him. And he's not always in these like serious action movies. I like that. I like the fact that he's got like a comedic side to him. you
Well,
know?
it's because who would take him seriously?
Honestly, fair.
Could he play
But-
like some serious like
Yeah, like if
villain?
he was in like if he
would
was
be
like
laughing.
if he was Rocky, like no. But I'm giving him like an 8.5. I think he's a
I'd
good
say a
looking dude.
6.
Dang, not with
He's
the
just
Paul
an
Rudd.
average.
Okay.
If he wasn't famous, you'd just think nothing of it. You
I
know what mean?
got 2 more for you.
Okay.
Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise. Okay.
Tom Cruise has had a comeback for me. He was a whole lot of nothing for years for me, and I recently, on that flight to India, watched Top Gun Maverick.
Oh yeah, Maverick.
Good looking. Dude.
I mean, he looks cool in that, but also like when you're flying a fighter jet,
Dude.
it's kind of hard not to look cool.
Here's my argument. Here's my argument for Tom Cruise. He's in the same era as Paul Rudd, Johnny Depp, Hugh Jackman, right?
Right. I know where you're going.
He's 60, looks significantly better than all three of
I knew
those
exactly
guys.
where you're going with that. He's held up really well.
Looks significantly
All
better.
right, for the age, I give him a 9 because he's held up so
Yeah,
well for
I agree.
so long.
I agree.
You know what? Maybe it's Scientology.
Oh my God. Honestly, okay. I forgot he was
Maybe
a
he's a
Scientologist.
Scientologist.
I'm dropping him a full point. I'm dropping him from a 9 to an 8 because of that. I completely forgot about that. That's crazy talk.
No, yeah, it's
Last
wacky.
one. This is an older actor, but very new school, new generation.
Okay.
Pedro Pascal.
Dude, I don't know who that is. Who's Pedro Pascal?
Okay. Let me pull up a picture. He did The Mandalorian. He did. Did you watch The Last of Us?
Yes, but I don't recall.
He's the main character in The Last of Us.
I have seen this guy. Okay, yeah.
People think that he is so good looking. I want to say he's like the new generation Johnny Depp, honestly.
You know, I think it's a little bit overrated. I'd give him a 7. What are you thinking?
Completely agree with you.
Okay, there we go.
I think he's a good actor, and I think he like talks well. I think people love like the, I think people just love his vibe. I don't think he's objectively like attractive.
I agree. Yeah.
Honestly, like a lot of wrinkles.
I've seen though. He's a good actor though.
He's a great actor, phenomenal. I would give him maybe like a 7 to 7.5 at best.
Okay.
So last question related to this. We just talked about all of these super hot men in Hollywood. Who would you want to be the live action version of you in your biopic, which is titled "Where's Waldo"?
What kind of movie is it?
Where's Waldo? You gotta find Waldo. Who is the live action version of Romeo Waldo? Your biopic titled "Where's Waldo"?
That's a great question, man. That is a great question. That's a great question.
Got to pick someone that's close to 6'5".
Gotta have a tall guy. Can't be The Rock because I'm not that big.
True.
I don't see myself as someone that big.
I could see.
You got any suggestions?
What's the guy that plays Loki? Tom Hiddleston. If he like bulked up a little bit.
Damn, I don't remember what he looks like.
I
didn't see Loki. You're talking about like the movie Loki. I don't think I've seen that.
Tom Hiddleston, I think is his name. Here's what it looks
We
like.
could do Joaquin Phoenix, have a little Joker action.
Ooh, Joaquin Phoenix would be a good one.
He's too. He'd be too like. I'm not that serious of a guy.
Okay.
Joaquin,
You want a little.
You have to be a
jokester?
very serious guy for Joaquin Phoenix to like play you. He's just too amazing.
Honestly,
Who's the guy
let's get Johnny Depp in there.
Johnny Depp?
Let's. You're better looking than Johnny
Chris
Depp.
Hemsworth, bro. Yeah.
You want to be, but he's got to have darker hair.
Or just leave
Honestly.
him the way it is now.
That's just what you want to be. How you want to be remembered.
I'm like, yeah, man.
You want to be remembered as Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah, like,
and the entire movie is this: the camera's just following him around in crowds of places looking for him. They're like, "Where's Waldo?"
yeah. I'd watch that.
What? That's such a dumb movie.
All right, you know what? Will Ferrell. That'd be great.
There you go. Will Ferrell.
Will Ferrell.
Or you can go the exact opposite route. Super short guy, Kevin Hart.
Kevin Hart.
He'd be hard to find. That'd be a
very
Where's
hard
Waldo
to find,
movie.
yeah.
Where's Waldo movie.
Yeah,
Supposedly he's like 5'2".
He's pretty small. Yeah. Small guy.
Well, thank you everyone for watching this episode of the Rome's Rube podcast. You can catch this podcast on anywhere you get podcasts: Apple, Spotify, Castbox, YouTube.com. So make sure you subscribe, like, all that stuff. Romeo, anything you want to plug?
No, not really.
Apparently you don't have socials. You're not on the apps.
No.
All right, he's got nothing.
If you see me in public, say hi.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for watching this episode. I'm your host, Jerome, and thank you for joining me in my room. Bye.
Fist bump.